that you've kept from the beginning to now?
So as an artist, which I know you know, we must evolve.
Yeah.
We must always find something that's underneath because things get boring. And so my work, it changes in subject to a degree, but my style doesn't necessarily change. Like I'm always gonna be a painter. I pick up the pencils every now and then, but I'm always gonna be a painter because I love it. I love the challenge of it. I feel like the depiction, I guess the way I depict my subjects is always gonna kind of be through the same lens because this is my experience that I'm sharing with you. These are my thoughts that I'm sharing with you. But maybe the way I compose those subjects might switch up a little. Maybe I don't know, my color palette ain't gonna change either.
It's okay.
You know, I like to find something new, you know, and just explore it as much as I can. And this theme of Black joy is something I feel like I can explore forever and a day because that in itself is going to change over time. What that feels like for me, the things that make me happy now are not the things that made me happy in my 20s. And when I have a kid, when he's finally here, right? The things that make me happy, the things that make me happy then. You think I've been happy this whole year?
Right.
Wait until my entire world revolves around this little boy that I'm raising. Then I'm truly going to dive really deep into this idea of Black joy because my job will be to ensure that he experiences that. I have to understand it though, and maybe we'll learn together.
I think the social justice and the joy are definitely they're good counterparts. You can't like really know joy without pain.
Exactly.
So like, you know,
There's
sun
definitely
and
a
rain.
balance there. And I'm not gonna stop
Yeah.
talking about social issues. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of that in there. You're gonna still see me making statements, but it may not be the same way that folks are used to seeing me do it.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question.
Please.
Hi. So, my question is, Andre, I was moved when you talked about being in the classroom with students that were so-called problem students. And then when they were with you, there were no problems, right? They got engaged, fully engaged. And that moved me, because it made me think of, the speech that you did yesterday. I watched it on Facebook, and that was for, I think, OPP.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you said was something about somebody saw you and saw something in you. And because of that, that changed your life. You got involved in art. So I was just wondering what it is when you interact with these children that makes them focused, engaged, and perhaps inspired. I mean, is it that element that you see something in them, or what is that dynamic about?
Tell us your secret.
I'm looking for the weirdo in the class because that's the one that's gonna be an artist. First and foremost, I want the kid who's the quiet one, not quite out there shadow, the art geek. I want to find that kid, and I want to help that kid.
Is that kind of like looking for young Andre?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I didn't know anything about young Andre. Nice to meet you.
I'm looking for a young me in the room because that's literally who I was. But it's also the fact that these kids aren't used to seeing somebody Black coming in there who isn't a rapper, who isn't an athlete, who isn't some kind of entertainer, right?
Yes.
I am a visual artist, and I do something that most of these kids, they might do in their classes and feel like they're good at it, but there's somebody telling them they'll never make it. It'll never happen for you. And I'm literally going in there and calling that person a liar and showing them that they don't.
That's good.
And they see somebody who looks like them, who is achieving something in that field that, quite frankly, most people think is impossible. Doesn't matter what community you come from. So knowing that, and knowing who I'm looking for in the room, that helps me with that. But it also tells me that these kids need to see more Black people doing more things, whatever they are. We just need to see more Black people doing more things. We're not just rappers, we're not just athletes, we're not just singers, right? The list goes on, all the stereotypical things that Black folk do that's supposed to lead you to success, right? We're doctors, we're lawyers, we're engineers, right? We're business people. We are folks who can make their own way just like any other community. I'm figuring it out for myself, what my way actually is, and that way changes from time to time. I've shifted a few times this year, but thank God I made some good decisions, right? Because it's been a great ride, and I shared that with them. I don't go in there with some fairy tale about what my life is like, but I tell them something real. And I think they appreciate that realness too, because I'm not there to lie to them. It's hard, right? You go, as an adult, you have responsibilities, and you have to make sure that you do the things you need to do. And for me, being a grown-up and doing this thing I've always dreamed of doing, my job is to find ways to monetize what I do, to ensure that I don't have to go back to the place that I left because I didn't like it there. And I keep it real about that. Keep it very real about that.
Thanks.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about how your dad inspired you, to kind of pick up the pencil, pick up the paper. Was there ever like an instance where maybe in school or anything like that may have made you second guess what your foundation was kind of telling you that you're capable of? I kind of say that because my son is 8, and there has been instances where the teacher will tell me, like, he's always doodling, he's always drawing, sometimes it just seems like he's just so distracted from what it is that the teacher is telling you, right? And like at home, I'm always like, if you're stressed, go ahead and go pick up a paper, like I would rather you try to express yourself and get whatever it is that you're feeling out on paper versus, aggressively expressing it or whatever. But like, have you ever experienced something that just reassured you, despite like the outside, to continue to do what it is that you were doing?
I had a lot of challenges growing up. My mother was sick, so I had to care for her, and the art was something I could lean on to basically make me feel better in that time. So it wasn't something that I like shared with everybody. I was in middle school, and I had like a couple friends who would draw and stuff. We had our little fun group or whatever, and, we did that. In high school, I was drawing classmates who fell asleep in class. But luckily, my grades were okay then. I was doing well in my sophomore year, going all the way through my senior year. And that I can honestly say that's around the time that I really started making some decisions about wanting to be an artist and making that like my real dream. Prior to that, it wasn't about wanting to be an artist when I grew up. It was a thing that I did because it kept me sane. But when I switched high schools and I started to take more art classes that were like really good, and I started to get all this positive attention for it because I was good, right? I started to realize, hey, I'm talented, right? I can do this for real. And then I got involved in some programs. You know, I got an award from OPP yesterday, which was the first organization that exposed me to some art related programming. But there's also Catholic Charities, which Paula used to be the director of programs.
You just met today.
She pulled me in to some of those programs. And so the other part of my foundation in the arts comes from my involvement in programs with Catholic Charities while I was in high school. It was a graphic design program that I was a part of that led me to want to go to college for art. So, you know, I started to have these positive things happen that encouraged me to continue down the path with this talent. So I didn't have anybody in school telling me I can't do it. That wasn't the case. I actually had a lot of people telling me that I'm good at it.
So how did you go to the dark side and wind up in corporate America?
Well, there was a time, long time ago, almost actually over a decade ago. I had $10 to my name and a broken pair of glasses.
And what?
A broken pair of glasses. Literally snapped in half. By accident, while I was putting a shirt on, getting ready for a job interview. I drove all the way to New Haven with no glasses on because I broke them. And, you know, I'm glad that my tank was full because I only had $10 to my name. I did this interview to be, I think it was like a teacher's assistant or something like that, at one of the schools in New Haven. And I could not see anybody that interviewed me or anything. I shouldn't have driven that far because I almost couldn't see the sign until I got up to them. I'm nearsighted, so the next day I had an interview down the street at a manufacturing company, and again went into the interview blind. I didn't have to drive that far this time. Only about 10 minutes. Couldn't see anybody that interviewed me, but I made sure I wore a suit and tie to work in a dirty machine shop. And I got the job because they were impressed. They didn't know that I was blind. But I had to figure out how I was gonna get some glasses and some steel toe boots within like 4 days. And my dad and my brother helped me out. So I was able to start that next day. And so that job was CNC machining. I learned on the spot. I did not go to school for it, didn't get any certifications or nothing like that. But it was a job and it paid decent. And I started to make more money than I ever made in my life with that job. But the problem was I wasn't challenged. And so I moved up kind of quickly. I went up to like the next level in that shop environment, which was basically the guy who sets up the machines. A little more challenging, a little more technical, some quality related stuff in there. Then there were layoffs. And I found, because I was the low man on the totem pole in this union machine shop, that my name kept popping up on this list of people who were going to be let go every Friday for about 2 or 3 months. That's some stressful shit to deal with, okay? Every Friday, not knowing whether or not I'm gonna have a job. So I took a chance and applied for 2 jobs I was not qualified for. One was a quality auditor and the other one was a warranty specialist. Knew nothing about the job. But I had a little college and I knew how to make PowerPoint presentations. And so I made my little PowerPoint presentation. And I did an interview with a panel of 8 people, including a couple of VPs, manager of quality, and the environmental health and safety guy was in there because, oh, by the way, this job was combined quality and EH&S, none of which I knew anything about, okay? I did well in that interview because they underestimated me. Because most of the people on that shop floor had never been to college, and a pretty decent percentage of them had never finished high school. So I stood out. And I did really well in the interview, so well, in fact, that the EH&S guy got up and shook my hand with a big old grin on his face, telling me how well I did, and basically letting me know that I got the job without letting me know. He couldn't hide it, right? And so my first corporate job was a quality auditor, in which I was put in a position that I knew nothing about, and the person who had the position before me left and took everything with them. I had to learn the job and create an audit system on my own, because the people I was supposed to learn from were a bunch of assholes. And I'm putting it lightly. They were not the nicest people who I went out there to learn auditing from. But eventually they did warm up to me because they realized I wasn't stupid. They all thought I was stupid. They thought I was some dumb guy on the shop floor who got lucky. And so my experience with auditing was a little different than a lot of people because I learned in real time, on the spot. And fortunately for me, I had a good rapport with the guys who worked on the shop floor already. So I was able to go in there and actually touch the product without having people file grievances on me and things like that. I had a better reputation than some folks. And so I did that job for almost 3 years, and then I ended up at a larger company. I didn't get my audit training until a year and a half into that job, by the way. A little too late. and at that point, I had already created the audit system, which they use to this day. And so I ended up in the bigger company, and I worked there for 6 years. And it came out of necessity. I needed a job. And I happened to do what I needed to do to make sure that I was all right. And it worked out for me. So I tell people that I ended up in corporate America by way of a little common sense and divine intervention, because at no point during my time in corporate did I ever feel like I was qualified for the job, nor did people really do a good job at letting me know that I should be in the job. Most of them didn't think I belonged there. So it was an uphill battle for quite a while.
I have to get going, sorry. But I love you, and I can't wait for us to have a moment to, I'm working with the Justice Dance Performance Project, and we're trying to get Andre as a guest for one of my upcoming Response to the Call series, so I'm doing my research. I'm gonna interview you again with all this. I'm gonna help him. He's gonna paint me live. Yes. I don't know what we're gonna do, but stay tuned for that for next year. It's another opportunity that I'm gonna continue to reach out and talk to you about. I probably should do it soon before this child comes. Busier.
Well, I did send you my link.
I know he's done it all. I'm the busy one. So thank you for this. Thanks, Shanika. Thanks, everybody. I'm sorry
Thank you for coming.
to sneak away, but you're awesome.
Appreciate you.
And have a great night, everybody.
Night.
A lot of my work experience came out of necessity. I mean, I needed money. So I took a job, I got comfortable, and when I realized I wasn't challenged, I needed to find something different. And then there was the threat of not having a job looming over my head. And at that point, I had finally gotten on my feet and I was starting to do better. I was desperate. I almost took a job that paid less because I got tired of seeing my name on that list every Friday. It got real. And then I ended up getting that position, and it was a decent bump in pay. They turned a job that's really for somebody that's mid-career into an entry-level position. So that shows you how much they they thought that I would be able to do it. And they were right. I did the job. My move into the larger company ended up being a 40% raise though, and they weren't meeting that, so that's why I ended up in the larger business.
Well, I know you just created a billboard recently, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. I mean, if you wanna strut across the station,
I
sure
got a
enough.
billboard. It has merch now.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be doing an expo this weekend.
Yep.
So tell us
home show.
more. What else is going on right now, and what is next for Dre Be Pink?
Ooh. What's happening right now is I gotta varnish 2 more paintings for this home show tomorrow. I will be on display with 39 other artists. Thank you for Red Carpet Open Studios and Artists Real Time. Shout out to Cynthia. I'll be doing that. I am looking forward to starting a mural. Hopefully, if we have some more warm days, I'll be able to go out there and actually go to the wall and apply some paint. But I've been like really, really busy lately, so all this stuff just keep kind of happening at once. Like I'm at a point where I have to book stuff a month in advance because I've already been asked to do things, and once you make a commitment, you can't just like drop it and be like, no, I'm gonna do that. Like that's rude and it's unprofessional. So luckily they're giving me through the spring to do it, so I'm not too worried about it. But that's gonna be a great project. I have some commissions coming up. I have my Black Joy series that I'm going to be working on still. I don't have any shows planned. We will see what happens because every time I say I don't have anything planned, I end up doing it 3-4 times. So I said I wasn't going to show anything this year, but I did end up in some art shows this year. It's just how things happen. We have the second cohort of the Artists of Color Accelerate Fellowship. The application is about to drop soon. So I'm looking forward to launching that as the new program manager. I've actually been in this position all year, but now it's more like public because
Official.
I'm the one making the announcements and all that. So that's going to be exciting. That's actually going to happen later this month. We'll announce the selections in January and we'll start most likely late January, early February. We're planning for that. We have some great things in store for our next group of fellows. We're working with some new organizations on top of some that we had in the past. So we're going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to have a little fun. I am in a national fellowship right now. So silly old me got involved in 2 programs at the same time. One happens to be New Voices Fellowship with Greater Hartford Arts Council, which is for art administrators. That's a 12-week fellowship that they started in August. We are the inaugural group. That fellowship ends at the end of this month. I was accepted into a national fellowship for art leaders called the National Leaders of Color Fellowship. It's originally started 10 years ago as just a regional fellowship for the West Coast, basically. So there's 6 regional arts organizations in the United States. The one for the West started this, and they decided this year that they're going to expand the fellowship and accept people from all over the country. So by way of the New England Foundation for the Arts, I applied and got accepted into this fellowship as one of only 53 people out of 400 people who applied. We just had our orientation in our first session in October. We meet for a half-day session of workshops and just different types of presentations and learning experiences once a month. It's all virtual, and like I said, there's only one person from each state, and then there's 3 United States territories that are represented as well. I feel for the person who is in the Pacific Islands because every time we're in a session, they will be in the next day. So I thought we had it bad because everything's based on the West Coast, so it's 3 hours behind. So Mine starts at 4 o'clock, while everybody on the west is 1 o'clock, and then imagine what time it is for that person that's in the Pacific Islands, right? So I can't complain anymore. I have my son coming in February, so I'm very excited about meeting him and getting to know my new baby, raising this boy with my lovely wife. What else I got going on? Things usually pop up, so as things happen, I'll be posting about it, because like I don't have like a schedule of events. I just put myself out there and say I'm open to doing stuff, and then because I've done that, people have stepped up and actually offered me certain opportunities. Sometimes you just have to take the initiative and say, hey, I want to do this, and just put yourself out there publicly and let them know that you have an interest in something. And doors have opened for me because I've done exactly that. So I'm gonna keep doing it. More murals next year. Definitely more murals. I am hoping and praying that the city of Hartford likes me that much that they will continue this public art projects, the Hartford Love Initiative. It meant a lot to be able to do that and get that artwork on the bus shelters and electrical boxes on Albany Avenue. I know there's at least 7 more neighborhoods that they want to do this in. That's a lot of art. That's a lot of opportunity for people to be paid to create designs that will be shown in a very public way. And for me, this is curation on a huge scale, right? I just curated a whole street. Now, what happens if I get the opportunity to curate a city?
Because you were organizing all of that, right? All their submissions and the requirements.
So it's not my idea,
Right.
but I'm responsible for the execution of the project, the project management side of it. And so I'm exercising those muscles. My work is not in this project at all, and it's done like that on purpose because I don't want there to be any thoughts that I'm trying to take advantage of the situation or anything like that. I don't even select the artists; the community does through the neighborhood revitalization zone committees, and that's on purpose as well. I designed it that way because I don't want any questions regarding my integrity in this. I know too many artists. I know too many artists. So it's very easy to be accused of playing favorites. And so I designed it so that the community makes the decisions. My artwork is not in it. It's my job to literally coach and guide people through the project. So that's what it is.
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
All right.
That's great.
Yeah. So
I've been learning a lot about NRZs lately.
have you?
Yes. So I'm part of Quest 2022.
Okay.
I
made it in.
know, I
Okay,
made
that's
it
what's
in
up.
this year.
Quest
I know you were doing
2022.
that last year, and I thought I would be joining your team. But we've been learning a lot about NRZs and what they do, and we'll be working on a campaign for
Nice.
them for our final project with our task force
Nice.
to help them gain new members.
That's
And
what's
just
up.
so people know who they are and where you're located and where are your meetings and do you have a social media page, and some of them don't. So we're trying to help them create
So
like
that's
some
your
unified
group
marketing.
project?
That's our project.
That's what's up. That's
Is
a dope
working with
project.
Hartford Next
Nice,
and the
nice.
downtown team to create some stronger marketing and marketing
Okay.
packages and gaining new members. We've been talking about making them a TikTok, so we'll see. You might
Okay.
see me dancing. What's next? Right? We'll see. So that's what's coming up. So
Good.
good to hear about your work with the NRZs for sure.
Yeah. So pass the word along. I'm trying to keep this project going. I would like to continue to be the face of this project. So the more you name drop me, the
You
more
know I will.
The more they're gonna name drop me to Janice. Like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you're hoping to try? And I always get in this mood as the end of the year comes and New Year's resolutions, and it's that time, y'all. Did you know it was that time? It's already. So what are you hoping to try? Is it new material with your art, new medium, a new, I don't know. Or maybe not. Maybe it's personal.
Oh well, I mean, painting is always gonna be painting. I just stop that. But
You tried some new things this past year though, because you were doing something with metallics on Instagram and trying to figure out how to get that on your artwork, and that
oh
seemed
yeah,
very
okay.
exciting.
So you're talking about that was metallic paint. It was actually mirror paint.
Mirror paint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I bought this really expensive paint. It comes in like a 1 ounce bottle. It costs $40. And I spent $200 trying to figure out how to use it. So I figured it out. And I didn't use up all the paint. I just got really excited about it. And so
Literally
I
a
just-
gold
yeah.
mine now, huh?
Yeah. So, I play around with stuff. So maybe another mirror painting will come out of this. I have to find a use for it now because I have like a bunch of this paint. So the reason why it's such a small bottle is because a little bit goes a long way. Like you actually don't need a lot of it, and you have to paint it in. Otherwise, you can mess it up and get all cloudy. Or whatever. Anyway, that's getting too technical for this. I do want to try some new media. I want to try some mixed media work. So I'll still be painting, but I want to mess around with some textures, play around with maybe some different papers and things like that, or maybe fabric, different types of fabric.
Dre be mixing?
He might be. So I want to mess around a little bit with that and kind of broaden my horizons a little bit. I love to paint, but I've always painted on canvas, so I've always painted on a board. What will happen when I add new stuff to my surface? What will happen if I add kind of a collage effect to my work? I want to play around with that. You never know, I might learn how to sew just to mess around and do something artistic
Heard that?
and paint on it.
So,
You know?
okay.
You
You
never
heard
know.
it here
You never
first.
know. I'm gonna figure some things out. But like I said earlier, as an artist, you have to evolve. And I think it's time for me to really dig a little deeper and challenge myself with the medium that I use. My subjects, I talked about my subjects, but the way in which I depict them, I get the feeling that the effect that I want is going to require me to do some new things with the medium that I'm using. So next year, while I'm at home with this baby,
Sewing.
he's gonna
Right.
he'll be with me probably in whatever you put babies in. He'll be here.
Should probably figure that out.
He'll be here. I'll let him hold the paintbrush every now and we're gonna see what happens.
Okay.
I don't know, baby Dre might be painting. I don't know. We'll see. I'll find something non-toxic.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions? Welcome. I knew you've got a new face.
I just
in the
came.
room.
Yeah, I just
All
came.
right,
Hey.
welcome.
Well,
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, I happened to be in the neighborhood. I saw this was happening. Said, oh, let me just stop by and see what's going on. But what are NRCs? What do you?
NRZs,
Yeah.
the neighborhood revitalization zone. So
Oh, NRZ.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it's an NRC. Okay.
Yeah.
So you work with the NRZs here in Hartford or just around?
So for the project that I did on Albany Avenue, the NRZs actually made the selection of the artists.
Okay, I got you. Now, I know a little about NRZs. I live on the other side of town, but yeah, this NRZs they can be helpful. They certainly can be helpful.
Yeah, I mean that was the easiest way for us to involve the community in making decisions. We didn't have a lot of time to launch the project.
Okay.
So the NRCs, as representatives of their neighborhood, they were encouraged to actually vote on the artists based off of their submissions. So it was all done online.
Where on
everything
Albany
was
Avenue
provided
is
to
the
them.
mall, is the mural at, or the project?
So all of the bus shelters and the electrical boxes along Albany Avenue.
Okay.
There's 9 bus shelters and 21 electrical boxes. Basically starting from, I don't know what the school's called now, but Quirk Middle School.
Quirk Middle School, yeah.
Starting at Quirk, going all the way down past the village.
All right.
The last one is actually on the corner of Albany Avenue and Bloomfield Avenue, headed towards University of Hartford.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say the village? That was Westbrook Village. It was.
No, I'm talking about the village for,
Right,
Yeah,
for
past
children, family and
Westbrook.
children,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, I'm old school, so,
So past Westbrook, past Scarborough Street,
gotcha.
next street up.
I think I have seen some of it, now you mentioned, has it been up for a while?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was there about 2 weeks
A
ago.
little bit longer than a month now.
Okay,
We started with the bus shelters, and then they did the electrical boxes in segments. So you may have seen a few up, and then there was some that were empty, but now the full project is done.
are you from Hartford?
Yeah.
Okay. Which school did you go to, high school?
So my high school was East Hartford High. I was born in Hartford, lived on Martin Street till I was about 7 years old.
Gotcha.
Moved to Manchester, lived there for 9 years. Moved to East Hartford, lived there for 2, and then moved back to Hartford, lived on Lebanon Street for a little while.
Well, it's usually both sides, because I was born in Hartford, then we moved to East Hartford. Then I didn't want to go to East Hartford High School because it's too racist, so I went to Weaver.
Same.
Let me tell you, East
I
Hartford.
yeah, I'm still
East
a
Hartford High
taxpayer.
changed, brother.
Oh, I know.
I had a tough time in Manchester High, and then when I went to East Hartford, everything did a complete 180.
Wow, okay.
Had it not been for changing schools, my education might have been a little different than what it is now.
That's exactly how I feel going to Hart. When I went to Weaver, we had 4 separate principals each year I was there.
Wow.
And it was integrated when I first entered, so things changed.
Mhm.
From Hartford originally too.
Oh yeah?
Yes, and I've been in Hartford maybe 10 years because I went to school here and then just moved back to East Hartford at the beginning of the pandemic. And I miss it. Oh my goodness, I miss it. I'm here every day. I miss being in Hartford. So interesting. Wow. Well, thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me. I love doing these talks. I like to sit down and interact with the people, talk art. I like to be challenged. That always makes for good discussion. So before we wrap up, because it wasn't asked, are there any questions about the actual artwork that's on display? Because we've been talking for a minute, we didn't even address the 4 paintings on the wall. If not, that's all right.
I know, maybe they'll have some questions once they walk around the gallery a little bit, get to look at the metallic paint that we talked about, read some of those descriptions. Those were some serious descriptions, by the way. Our audiences for My Children of Africa were really talking about those.
That's what's up.
Yes, they're pretty intense.
That's
So
good.
yes,
And that
please take your
dialogue.
time, check it out, and sip some wine. Everything in the lobby is for donation, but also we just kind of have rentals happening the last few months. So nothing really happening here, and therefore we need to use up the wine. So I will meet you in the lobby. You're welcome to check out the artwork. Actually, I do have one more question before we go, if we have time. We talked a lot about mentorship. Do you see yourself creating any mentoring programs?
Absolutely. I'm working on that now. So, you're my guinea pig.
No. What?
So right now there are, I'll say 4 artists who I am actively coaching, and all 4 of them, not you, all 4 know that they are my guinea pig for something bigger, something that's going to be more official. So I believe in providing information to people as I get it. I believe in teaching the lessons that I've learned. And I also believe in making sure that people are set up for success. And so I've made it a part of my business practice to use the experience that I've had to advise up-and-coming artists, specifically people who are a little bit newer to this or are trying to kind of figure things out and need a little help with that. Folks who might want to take the leap from the traditional working world and are ready to, you know, make the transition to pursuing their artistry full time, I would like to coach them. I want to work with them. I want to provide the support that I did not get in the beginning. It ain't always going to be free, but I will definitely be there to help. And the main reason why it's not free is because it's taking time away from my studio practice and the other paid projects that I have going on. And I got a baby on the way. Pretty soon, I'm going to be a father. And I need to make sure that when I'm doing things, I'm compensated for my time. The knowledge, if you want to spend the time to go out and get it yourself, you absolutely can. But I can share what I know for a nominal fee. And you are more than welcome to sit with me. I will give you my undivided attention and I will help you out. So yes, mentorship and coaching,
Adults,
absolutely.
emerging artists,
Yes,
not like
absolutely
kids
a part
mentoring
of it.
programs.
Kids mentoring is different, so I'm not gonna charge you for asking me to give your kids some guidance. It's a kid. Like, at the end of the day, that child needs to see a positive example of somebody doing something that they might want to do. And I would approach that a little bit differently. The time that I would spend with a child might be more in a school environment. It might be in a youth program or something like that. It'll be a different approach. My interest with working with kids is more about presence. My interest in working with adults is about business, because if you're going to take that leap, if you're really going to take this thing seriously, you should be investing in yourself. I'm not investing in these coaching classes for no reason, right? That costs money. I didn't invest in my education for no reason. So, you know, these are things that adults are going to understand what that is. At least I expect them to.
I can teach you, but I have to charge.
Yeah, I mean, that's just real life.
Right.
If we didn't need money, I wouldn't charge.
Of course.
And we don't get our life back either. Any time that I spend with people is time I can't get back. So, you know, we also need to take that into account.
I totally understand it. It's, you know, as an artist, I understand, but also like, especially now, everyone wants to do a land acknowledgement. And people come to me about, like, oh yeah, I would like to do this, yeah, come here. I said, well, isn't there something else we can talk about? Oh, what? You know what? I said, well, you want me to tell you how you stole the land, how you misuse the people. What are you giving me for this?
Right.
I'm not here just to make you feel good.
Right. Because isn't that kind of
Sure. What
colonial in itself?
Exactly. Right.
To ask you to come do something for free.
People are still under that tail.
Right, they're stealing your time.
Right. That's right.
So, yeah.
Even just that action, paying someone to come do it, but are you doing the work? Like, what is
Right.
changing behind the
Yeah.
scenes? What piece? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Because,
there are a lot of layers to that.
There are
A lot of layers to it.
Awesome. Well, you heard it first. I'm a guinea pig, y'all. So look out for more from Dre B. Payton and Janika B. Styling in the next few years. I don't know what you've got in store. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what that is. I don't know what that is. You're gonna tell me. Okay, that's cool. I'll see you all in the lobby. Thank you